Hello guys and welcome to Simon Security Expert. On today's video I'm going to be showing you how to install a fuse spur, install a Texecom Wireless 64 panel, Premier Elite, install wireless devices onto that panel, and how to program it and how to use it, so you'll have a great idea on how to do all of that on this system. Wasn't sure I was ever going to be installing Texecom again because they've been so unreliable for the last few years, but the rep has asked us to give it another go, so I thought, okay, we'll give it one more shot. I obviously don't think it's anywhere near as good for your DIYers as my own wireless security system, the Guardfather Security System, for which I'll leave a link in the description so you can take complete control of your own security. But it's always best to have options, and this video should be able to help people maybe who've already got a Texecom system or they're thinking about getting a Texecom system. It should give you that knowledge so that you can go in there, install it, smash it out, and hopefully have no problems. So let's go.
Okay guys, let's begin. I've unpacked all my equipment. I've got my box there for my rubbish. Does anyone know what alarm panel this is and what alarm panel it was before this particular brand took over? Let me know in the comments if you know, I'd be interested. Ended up being a very unreliable panel, and yeah, that's how you check if cable's alive. No, you obviously don't worry. I checked, it was dead. I wasn't just zapping myself. So I'm just marking for the fuse spare on the wall because there wasn't a fuse spare on this previous system. Naughty, naughty. So we'll put one in. I'm just going to fish the cable away because originally it was going straight into the panel. So I'm going to put a fuse spare down there in the bottom left just to make everything safe. And then I'll pull a mains cable going back the other way. So we have an isolation point rather than having to knock the whole house off. I nearly swore there. Try and do that minimal on this channel if I can. Trying not to knock the whole house off on the electrics. So yeah, the fuse spare being installed there. You've got your mains cable coming in that goes into live in, neutral in. And then you've got your mains cable out that's going out to the control panel, and it's the same setup. You have your live going into the live out, and your neutral going into the neutral out, and an earth in the earth terminal. So I'm just popping those into place. Now mount the fuse spare up and tighten it up, and leave the fuse out so I don't accidentally make anything live and give myself a zap, because it wouldn't be the first time. But we'll keep that between us. So let's take the panel lid off. Now you'll see here, I'm pointing at a screw there on the left and one in the middle. You need to take those screws out in order to pop the circuit board out so that you can mount it. So you take those screws out, you take the power lead off, and you also unscrew the earth from the PCB as well, so that you can just flick that out so you can start mounting your back box. So I'm just putting that into position here. Thankfully, there was enough room between the wall and the mirror. I'm marking out the points of where I'm going to put my roll plugs into. If you can, guys, use at least 4 going into this panel. 4 roll plugs, I mean, and 4 screws, because, you know, it's holding the battery. It's got some weight into it. It's getting pushed a lot with the buttons being pressed, so it needs to be secure onto the wall. Tighten that all up into there. Just go through the screws one by one. You don't need to get any cables into the back of here afterwards, so you don't need to worry about leaving it loose, you know, to enable to fish a cable through the back. Sometimes leave it loose if you've got a smart com that you've got to fish into, and then you can tighten it up after. Now, you might see here this says P15. I actually took the wrong PIRs with me to the job. It should be wireless PIRs, and I'm noticing about now, and I'm looking at the box, and I'm realising it's the wrong sensor because I'm putting wireless ones in, so I had to go and take a trip to the wholesalers. So when you could bring your live cables in from your fuse spare, you've got your neutral that goes in with the blue on the other side. You've got your brown that goes in with the live on the other side, and your earth, which goes into the middle terminal. I did put earth sleeving on this later, guys. Don't worry. I just didn't have any with me right now before I went to the wholesalers. Then put the earth back into its top terminal slot there, and then you can remount the PCB board. You don't need to put those 2 screws back in, you know, so don't worry about that if you haven't got them or you've lost them or dropped them. You don't have to put them back in. It's just as secure without. Get the power lead and push that back onto the PCB board in the top left-hand corner, and the red cable should be on the right-hand side. Now, pop the mains into it and let that power up. Now it's time to take off the old door contact. I'd already taken off half of it, so I'm just taking off the rest of it here and unscrewing that from the door because we're going to be putting a new one on, which I'm doing here. Mounting the micro door contact wireless onto the front door. Now, you might see here, I'm actually putting the contact side onto the door and I put the magnet onto the other side. It's because I didn't have room. Sometimes you can do that. It's not ideal. I always like to have the magnet on one side if I can, but on the door, but I wasn't able to. So now I'm unpacking the motion sensor and we're going to go and get this ready. One problem that I've always come across when installing Texecoms over the years is the battery that they come with have actually been low voltage. So we've had loads of battery faults because the battery's just been dead, after a few months, when really it should be lasting a couple of years before they need changing. So on this, I actually test it out the box to check if it actually had the correct voltage on the sensors. So we'll see that shortly. At the moment, just mounting the back plate onto the wall. So here it is. I thought, this will be good for the video because I want to see 3.2 volts minimum on here. And I bet it comes out at like 2.9 or 3 volts on these Varta batteries. I don't like them. So get my multimeter. One to the negative side, one to the positive, and 3.27 volts. So it's made me look an absolute idiot. But don't worry, there's a couple more batteries to check yet, and we'll see how we get on by the end. So we're taking off the old sensor here. Let's get that in the bin. Always keep things tidy as you go, guys. Testing the next one. Here we go. And it is 3.28 volts. So, okay, so far it's making me look a bit silly, and there's only one more to go. But actually, I am actually happy that the batteries are all right. It's a good sign. So I'm mounting the other back plate. There's not actually many sensors on this. I only got 3 PIRs at a door contact on this, an external sounder. So this is the other one, and I'm putting up the upstairs landing PIR onto here as well. So screwing up the back plate. And I go to test the last battery, and you won't believe it. You won't believe it. 3.27 volts. Varta, I wholeheartedly apologise. Look how stupid I look with a little necklace and my phone on. You see that in the car window? God. The things I do for content. So we're now taking off the old sounder. Take this apart. We're going to rip this one down and we're going to put up the new Texecom wireless sounder. Now, the Texecom wireless sounder works off AA batteries and they actually last well, to be fair. The Energizer batteries are always good. They're always solid. So I don't actually need to test them out the box because they just work well. So we'll take this one down. They use massive screws in here, which I actually reused because I thought, why not? When they're like 3 inches long, we're going to make the most out of them. We'll take this sounder down, get it thrown away, and then we can start getting the new one up there. So we go, mounting up the new Texecom wireless sounder, 3 screws that go into there. Make sure they're all nice and tight and that you've secured the back tamper plate. You need to do that when it's a wireless sounder on this system. Slot on the top lid there and take off the batteries housing because you're going to need to put the batteries in. And also there's a little jumper on the board. You need to move that to the on position. It's quite fiddly. It's not handy if you've got quite big hands, but you just have to get in there in the end. But you will get it. Putting in the AA batteries, but I'd actually forgotten where they were and I'd actually left them up on the window ledge. Seems to do that quite a lot when doing installs and just completely forget where I put something down. But anyway, got them now. So we're going to pop them into the battery housing and then we can start learning the equipment on. So the first thing I'm going to do here is there's a lead that comes with the system and you need to plug that on to that bottom left portion there for the keypad in order to power the the front plate of the CPU so that you can put in your code 1 2 3 4 and then 5 6. So 1 2 3 4 is the engineer's default, and you'll just go through some things with your default wireless, confirm devices. You'll just want to tick to all of this and press yes again to confirm. Then it asks learn Ricochet devices. I always learn the sounder on quite far away from where I learn the other devices. They start at zone 9, so zone 20, get the batteries ready, and I thought, you know what, because usually I learn the sounder down at the actual panel, but I thought, no, I'll mount the sounder and I'll have a race. It only gives you 20 seconds. So I pressed the tick, and I tell you what, I thought, I'll do this. I have plenty of time. But something worth remembering with Texecoms is even though it says 20 seconds, you haven't really got 20 seconds. You've got about 13 or 14 because they take a little bit of time to actually kick into gear. So I've now put the power to it. It's flashing, but I haven't done it in time. See the LED going at the bottom there? Haven't done it in time. So I hear the tone down at the panel to say, and I know it hasn't learnt in. So Now I feel like, well, I don't want it to beat me. So I take off the batteries and think, well, I'm just going to do it quicker. So I've actually thought for a second, will I take down the whole sounder? But then I thought, no, I'm going to go for it. So I took the batteries back off the terminal, went back to the panel, pressed the tick to start the learn process, and now I'm running. And I've got a really bad back at the moment, but I just don't want this thing to beat me. So I'm climbing up the ladder, and I pop it on there. And once again, I haven't actually done it in time. And really, I should have took the jumper off and then put the jumper back to on, but I forgot. So hasn't learned in again, but I'm thinking, there's no way it's going to beat me. So I take the jumper off and I take the battery leads off and I go back to the control panel because I'm going to get it this time. Press the tick to start the learn button, start the learn process. And now I'm on it. And I'm really trying to scamper up the ladders about 3 steps at a time. And I would have really thought this is within 20 seconds. Pop it on. And guess what? I missed it again. Didn't do it in time. Even after I took the jumper off this time. So anyway, I take the jumper off just to make sure. But it was on right. So then I admitted defeat and took the whole sounder off the wall to take it down to the control panel to do it there. So learn from my mistakes, guys. When it comes to doing the external sounder, do what I always have done in the past. This is the only time I've ever not done this. I just thought it'd be fun to race it. Always learn the sounder back at the actual control panel. It's so much easier. Oh, it looks like I actually went for it another time. Didn't work. And I wasn't punching it then, by the way, even though it kind of looked like it. So I'm actually just unscrew it now and I'm taking it all down. I take back to the panel, put the jumper on after I've just started the learning process, flashes away, learns onto the system into zone 20. We're all done. Now I can go and mount this and thank God. So the sounder's actually done. And on the back of the sounder, on the opening, there's a screw. You want to unscrew this screw a little bit because that's what closes the tamper circuit. So just bear that in mind because sometimes people don't realize why the tamper isn't closed. So putting the battery leads on. Red to red, black to black. Pretty straightforward. Always remember to label your battery. And there's a little plastic cover that comes in the panel. You want to put that onto the live terminals. That's where that's supposed to go. So now I put the panel lid on and I go to zone 9. We're going to learn in. So you go 009, press yes to that. And we've got the front door contact on there. So in order to learn that on, you just hold down the button on the front for 3 seconds and it'll go green and it'll learn onto the system. Then I go straight to zone 10. So what we do here, I take my time on this, guys. So I just do this at normal pace to run through it with you. So tick to that, to zone 10. Go through to where the sensor is, pop the battery in and it should go green. There it goes on the sensor. Zone 10 is now learnt in. Pop that into its place. And then there's a little slot with a screwdriver that you can turn in order to lock the device into place. And then the same with zone 11. Put the battery in during the 20-second learning process. Pop it into place. And it'll flash blue. It will continue to flash blue for like another 30 seconds. It's just learning its environment. Then I did this one at the panel just so you can see exactly what's going on. Press tick. Pop the battery in. And that's gone green. And then I take that up to the landing there to pop that one into there. So this house is well covered, to be fair, because it's only a small house. And then the main thing always is to keep everything clean and tidy by going around with a vacuum cleaner and sweeping up and just making sure you're not leaving the customer with any job to do. Never leave a house messy. There's no excuse for that. So I go around, especially when it's a wireless one. Oh my God, I love it when they've got them. They let me use them. So handy. So just to go through now, I'm going to take my time running through this for you. The first one I'm going to go to is zone setup. You press yes into zone setup. Zones 1 to 8 should be not used if you're doing this from wireless because they start at zone 9. Zone 9 programs entry and exit because it's the front door contact. Then you can press the tick and go through the attributes, the areas, and then the text. Change the text. Now the text is predictive, so you can just do it as if it's an old mobile phone and it'll know front door and it'll change for you. And then you just flick through the zones with the down button and you can go through. Now I'm just looking at the sheet here and I think this is the kitchen. Yes, kitchens. Type in kitchen and it does it. Zone 11, lounge. Zone 12, landing. It's really easy and quick, and to be fair, it is good to program. It's user and engineer friendly when it comes to programming. Now we're going to press the tick, and we're going to go through some of the options. These are all fine as they are. It's the entry and exit if you want to change them. Zone 10, we're keeping that as guard access because that means it's an entry and exit automatically for a part set. The other two are guard zones, which is an instant alarm. After that, not used because they're not on. Now, you go to area programming. You want to change it to 30-30 because entry 1 delay is set to 45. You want to change that to entry 30 and exit 30. Arming modes, I always change this to timed exit with a wireless system just in case it ever misses the front door contact closing. It's just better. It's more secure in my opinion. Now you want to go through these options, part arm silence by pressing X and then 1, and you'll see the A come up, and then you run through some other things here. Now, confirm reset, you want to get rid of all that for A, B, C, and D, because otherwise it's a nightmare to reset. Anti-code reset, you want to get rid of all that. It's not a monitored system, you don't need these things. Now, full arm comms, that means it's what it's talking out to the app. Part arm comms, if you're using the app, you'll want to put this on for A, B, C, and D. Unarmed fire comms, if you've got fire on the system and you're going through to communication center like an ARC or the app, you want to put that on. Same with the TAMP. So just to go through some of these other options, you don't actually have to do anything with the other options. Right, so next one we'll go into global options, system timers. You can do things in here like adjust how long the engineer logout delay is for and how long the bell duration is for. So we have this on for 10 minutes with it being a wireless sounder. So I'd go down and just change this 010. I recommend you do the same. System config, you just go through some things in here if you need to. You don't actually have to touch anything in here. System options, change this to volume 8. It's, for your alarm going off internally and things like that. The rest of it, you don't really have to mess with. I wouldn't advise touching any of that. Monitor hardware, again, I wouldn't touch anything, but just to show you what it is, you can actually turn off certain monitoring. So if you wanted to turn off the battery, for instance, if you have a battery fault, you can press X on there, it goes to a star, and then you press the tick. But I want to keep that on, and you will too. You want the system to be monitoring for faults. Control timers, don't think we need to do anything there. System text, this is where I go to banner message, where I'll put in, I change it to normal text by pressing X, and then you can go to normal text, like you're typing on an old phone, and put in whatever text you want it to display when your system's just sitting there idle. So we tend to put our company name in along with our company phone number, just so it's easy for the customer to see if they ever need to get in contact with us. So you don't really need to change anything here. Keypad setup, this is where you can do things like zone mapping if you ever need to. Keypad as well, you can make it so you've got quick arm is on if you want single button setting. You see that Q there, second to last one, we put that on. Setup users, this is where you'll put your user codes in, learn on prox tags if you want to. So I put that in, I just, obviously for obvious reasons, cut out the bit about when I entered the code. And this is where you put your tag in if you want to, and you can add multiple users. Engineer utilities, this is where you can do like bell test, walk test, set the time, set the date. And interestingly, this is a good one. If you go to Ricochet Diag, which I'll show you in a second, so you can go to time and date as I'm doing now. That's straightforward. But something that a lot of people don't know, even engineers who have done it for years, if you go into this menu and go to Ricochet Diag, which I'm about to do now, I think. Well, first of all, I'll just do the engineer code, but yeah. I don't show you that bit as well. So you go to Ricochet Diag, here we go, and we press tick into there. Now, if you go to 009, the start of your wireless, and you press the chime button, you will get a percentage reading for, showing how strong the signal is. So we can go through our wireless zones then and make sure that they're getting a strong enough signal, which they are. So that's worth noting. A lot of people don't know that. Part arm zones, go into there. So this is like your nighttime set, for instance. So we want to take the landing off on a nighttime set. So I go to that particular zone and then I turn that as off. And we're almost there to log off engineer, but this is a really important bit. There's a little jumper that's just on the PCB board there. You keep that on while you're learning on the wireless devices, but then you need to take that off, otherwise your system will stay in fault, and you won't know why, and you'll think that there's some real problem, but there isn't. You just need to take that jumper off. That's all you need to do. And then you put everything back into place, pop the cover back on, and when we log off from the engineer menu, should have no problem. All being well, there we go. HGVS, time and the date. That's exactly what you want. So now I'll go back into this again. Go to engineer utilities, view event log, do bell test, and do some testing on it. So you go into your bell test, turn that off and on. Go into your speaker, turn that off and on. Do the same with your strobe as well. And you can go outside and look at the strobes firing. Go to walk test, test all areas, and then you can go around each device like I'm doing now. So I'll open the front door. You'll want to do this at the end of your install as well. So open the front door, zone 9, front door is triggered. So that's fine. So we go and do the same thing, and we just go round each of the sensors, making sure they activate. And then after you've done that, it logs it back at the control panel. And you'll have all your, it'll tell you there, you know, if there's any zones that haven't tripped or anything like that. So I'm just going to go and do the landing one, nearly fell over there. There we go. So they were all okay. That's good to go. Now doing a set by pressing that black house button, and then you would leave the house. So we just, as you open the door, it changes the tone. And when we close the door, it goes back to its normal tone, as you'll see when you're setting and unsetting your system. And then after 30 seconds, it will set. Then after the 30 seconds is set, so we're just waiting this to set now, we'll open the door. And when we open the door, we'll put in the user code just to show that the system's working. This is a demo I'll also go over with the customer as well. So I'm opening the door now, and the entry tone has started, which is when you'd come to it and pop in your user code, which again, sorry, I can't show you that. That one there with the little person inside the house is for your evening arm when you're going upstairs. You know, when we emitted the landing sensor, just means that that's the, you know, the landing sensor's emitted so you can walk around upstairs automatically. You press that button and then press tick, and that will do the evening arm, and it will also set silently because we set that up earlier on as well. So there's a few extra bits and bobs on the keypad, but to be honest, it's all good to go, that. Now, just give you a few images. There's the panel, a fuse spur underneath, and front door contact on there. One of the PIRs and another one of the PIRs. I do think they look good. So now I'll head off to my truck, and we'll just run over a few bits to finish and go through some thoughts on the process.
So that's it, all done, guys. Hopefully that was a big help for you. That's what I'm aiming for on this channel. There's a few more videos I'm going to be uploading soon, such as how to install a smart comm, so for app control for Texecom and things like that. If you have any questions, obviously let me know in the comments. Don't forget the Guardfather Security System is in the bio, so you can go and take control of your own security if you want. Also, if you want to see a Ajax smart home security setup installed, click here.